Welcome back to the channel, RacerX here, and today's video is just a little bit different. I'm actually going to be weighing in on a situation that you guys have been asking me about. I've seen it all over social media now. Several other guys have done YouTube videos on it, and there have been some other developments on this. Apparently, there is a social media influencer up in the Seattle, Washington area that has a really loud Hellcat, and things have just gotten really weird. It has caused a big uproar all over social media. Today I'm going to weigh in on this and kind of give you sort of both sides of it and then tell you my true thoughts on it. It should be a fun one. If you guys are brand new to the channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. You can find that right over here, and off we go.
T-minus 15 seconds.
Today I am back at the Dream Giveaway Garage, and I want to give you a quick tour, just a quick look around to show you all of the amazing cars that you can enter to win at Dream Giveaway. It is pretty epic. Check this out right over here. This is their Escalade V giveaway. You get a CT5V Blackwing and an Escalade V in the same exact giveaway. It's really epic. I love both of these two cars. You can enter to win those. Right over here, you've got two big block old school Chevys. You've got a Chevelle right there. And then of course, right over here, you have a Camaro. Both of those two cars paired together. Right here, you've got their brand new, newly announced Challenger giveaway. You've got a 2023 Super Stock and a 1970 Challenger owned by the president of Chrysler. How cool is that?
Hell yes.
You've got a highly modified C8 Corvette with a Magnuson supercharger on it. This thing has all sorts of work done to it. It's actually getting paired with an old school Corvette that they will have here shortly, and I can show you guys that in more detail. Check this out, a Porsche GT4 RS. That is being given away by itself. Right over here, you've got a Z06 that's got all sorts of carbon fiber stuff all over it. Gorgeous car. And of course, you have a Silverado right here as well. That's got some pretty cool features to it. Right over here, you've got a Shelby. Check this thing out. Supercharged Shelby Mustang right next to the Shelby truck. This is a Centennial Edition Mustang. Both of these two are being given away in the same giveaway. And then right over here, the Mustang Dark Horse and an F-150. That is an electric truck. Both of those two cars. All you have to do is go to Dream Giveaway's website to enter, use my code RacerX to get three times the entries for one price. And I will pin a link in the description down below. Just take a look at all of these epic rides. Go enter to win. Truth of the matter is, when you are a car enthusiast, oftentimes you like to modify your cars. Lord knows I have done all sorts of modifications to my cars in the past, had lots of cars well over 1,000 horsepower. I've been racing a long time, and doing car modifications is just something I've always done and enjoyed. And one of the most common mods out there is exhaust mods. Many of you guys watching this channel have exhaust mods, and it really does make your car sound different. And sound is a very subjective thing. Some people like just more of a tune sound. Some people like a more aggressive, snappy sound. Some people like it just to be super crazy loud. And, you know, there's everything in between. But it's no secret that people love modifying their exhausts and making their cars sound unique to their liking. And even when I start this car, this Demon 170, it's not super quiet, and a lot of my neighbors take notice when I start it. There's no getting around that. Maybe if you have an active exhaust system where the car can start more quietly or drive in a quiet mode, that's great. Some cars do have that, but a lot of cars don't, and I'm guilty. I have had cars that don't even have catalytic converters on them, pretty darn loud. I typically go out of my way to not be obnoxious about it if I can, meaning when I'm driving through my neighborhood, I try and be really chill. I mean, there's no getting around it when I start it or anything. I have to start it with the garage door open for the most part. Sometimes I'll even keep it shut if it's late at night. But yeah, it's just loud. And sometimes people just have to understand that that's, you know, there's a car enthusiast that lives there, has kind of a loud car, but they're not being obnoxious. But then there's the other side of the coin. Well, it quit raining at least for a few minutes here in Florida, so I figured I would take the Demon out, put a few more braking miles on this brand new engine while I film the rest of this video for you guys. And I have always encouraged everyone out there that's a fan of my channel or that just loves muscle or performance cars to make these cars your own. Have a good time with them. But don't do it at the expense of other people. Don't put other people in danger, and just don't be blatantly reckless. I mean, I feel like that is a pretty self-explanatory thing, but apparently it's not. So now we have a situation where we have a young social media guy. He's like a 20-year-old that lives up in Seattle, Washington, around that area. He's got a really nice, like 2023 wide-body Hellcat, and he's done some very unique things to the car. He's got a wrap on it that has like tiger stripes on it. He's got some really cool lighting. He's obviously done some exhaust mods to it, because when you listen to it on camera, it's a little hard for me to pick up exactly what he's done to it, but it is most likely straight piped. I cannot tell if he still has the cats or not, but it certainly does not sound like he has cats on the car either. Car is unbelievably loud, and obviously he likes it being loud, and in my opinion, that's okay. It's okay to have a car that's loud as long as you're not out there purposely trying to piss off other people. Unfortunately, that is exactly what he has done and been doing, and the entire city of Seattle is all pissed off about it. Well, I thought I would stop the car for just a minute and glance over my notes, because I want to make sure that I'm as factual as possible before I kind of give you my ultimate thoughts on this. His name is Miles Hudson, and he goes by srt.miles on Instagram. He's built quite the social media following, 760,000 followers on IG. That is quite a few, and basically he's done it by going out and acting an absolute fool in his Hellcat. He's got a beautiful car, and he's paid for this beautiful car with his social media platform. So, you know, kudos for that. But you're talking about probably a $90,000 plus car that he's done all sorts of stuff to, and he's having a good time with it. It's even been dubbed the Belltown Hellcat from where he is from. But he has made quite the reputation for himself with people in the city and law enforcement, because what he's doing is he's going around, he's participating in these street takeovers. He's out there basically like flooring it while he's going through these city streets, making as much noise as possible, basically terrorizing the residents of the city. And that just really isn't cool, and it's not sitting well with a lot of people. And initially, some complaints started to sort of trickle in about this car. It's very distinctive with those tiger stripes on it, so there's no mistaking who it is. And then more complaints and more complaints. So it is one thing when you have a person or two complain. My neighbor that's 2 doors down, she does not like my car. I mean, she's an older person. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm not being aggressive when I'm driving the car. I'm literally just idling out, and she still gets mad. I mean, I get that part of it, but nobody else in the neighborhood seems to care. But when you've got hundreds of people, sometimes even thousands of people. I mean, there's a comment on here about a guy that was on like the 17th floor of an apartment building. This guy would not let him sleep because he would go through and make as much noise as humanly possible.
They're sleepless in Seattle, and it's all because of this really loud car. Folks in Seattle say they're being tormented by the sound of the muscle car roaring through streets late at night. It's nonstop, and the driver doesn't even have to be in the vehicle to keep his neighbors awake. Look, he's starting the car with his key fob from his balcony.
This car is just like on a different level of loudness.
Chris Allen lives in a 17th floor apartment downtown.
I can feel my floor vibrate as he goes by.
Authorities know the name of the driver. He's 20-year-old Miles Hudson. They pulled him over a few weeks ago.
Why don't you go to Pacific Raceways?
I don't race. I do this. I do this for social media.
And, you know, I'm sorry to say it, but that is just not cool. Why go out and terrorize the city and make as much noise as possible and go and do burnouts and drifts and all that kind of stuff just to piss people off? Because you can. Just because you have a really powerful, cool car doesn't give you the right to act like that. I've driven a lot of really cool, powerful cars. I've owned a ton. You guys that follow my channel, you know. I don't purposely go out and try and piss people off in the car. I still have a good time in it. And I can still have a good time in it without pissing people off, at least for the most part. But when your entire city hates your car and the cops are on the lookout for you, that's a completely different story. And you've got some footage of him actually getting pulled over, and the cop is actually a really cool cop. And he questions, like, what are you doing? Why don't you go to the racetrack? Oh, I don't race. I thought that was interesting. I just go out and I terrorize the city. And, you know, I'm frustrated, you know what I mean? Because people want to make it out like the city of Seattle is just blatantly targeting him and he's innocent in the deal. And that's not really what is going on, okay? It really sucks that they're fining him. And the truth of the matter is they're fining him $84,000. It was like $1,300 a day because he was not conforming. But basically, he just didn't care to conform to what they were asking him to do. The simple thing would have been to just quit acting like that. I mean, don't even change anything. Just quit acting like that. Go somewhere else. But he didn't. He kind of just gave it, look, I don't care. I'm just going to go out and do what I do. I'm going to terrorize. I'm going to ignore it. And now he's got $84,000 in fines that they're expecting him to pay. And that's actually like the price of the car. It's just insane how out of hand that got. So on one hand, people could look at it and say, well, that's ridiculous. And it is. $84,000. Don't get me wrong. That is ridiculous. It is excessive. But by the same token, he kind of deserves it in my mind because he's out there purposely acting like an ass clown. I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, look at the social media stuff that he's posting and tell me I'm wrong.
The Hellcat is back, and folks are not happy.
It is hellish. Yeah, and it's really like sometimes I really have to like even block my ears because it gets that bad.
I've heard it maybe a dozen or so times. Usually around 3 or 4 in the morning, and it's woken my fiance up a few times, I think.
For months, authorities have tried to get the car and its driver off the streets. Back in March, Miles Hudson was charged with 2 counts of reckless driving and was forbidden from driving the car until it complied with the city's noise control code. But since then, new videos emerged showing the vehicle on Seattle's roads.
So here you have a situation where you got a young guy who was able to go out and develop a pretty substantial social media following on Instagram through means that I feel like most of us would consider to be questionable at best. And he was able to garner so much attention that it really ended up biting him in the butt. So not only did he have the whole city pissed off and looking out for him, now he has law enforcement out there looking for him. He's got a very distinctive car, and they went to his social media pages and they saw everything that he was doing. Yes, he was growing his platform, but it wasn't helping him out in the long run. He ended up getting 2 counts of reckless driving. Like I said, he already had those massive fines to deal with, and it just really snowballed out of control for him. And it's a sucky situation. So it wasn't necessarily a situation where the city of Seattle was just cracking down on him to be mean. But I mean, law enforcement really had no choice but to act after getting complaint after complaint after complaint of somebody out there running through the streets, being as loud as humanly possible, trying to create chaos. Okay, and it's not okay. I don't care what anybody says. Like I said, you have no right, no matter how much you paid for your car. You go buy a Bugatti Chiron, it still doesn't go out and give you the right to, inconvenience other people and be a complete jerk for no reason. Something else I find just a little bit weird. I have heard several other guys out there on social media come to his defense saying, listen, how ridiculous is it that the entire city of Seattle comes down on a 20-year-old kid because he has a performance car and it's loud? And if that was just the case, if it was only because his car was loud and he's just out there enjoying the car, I would absolutely be on board with that sentiment because I'm a performance enthusiast. I actually really like the sound of a performance exhaust, a nicely tuned exhaust. And sometimes, even if it's loud, still sounds pretty good. So I'm completely on board with that, as most of you guys are probably aware. But I want to be clear, that's not really what was going on here. What was going on is he was out there terrorizing the city, acting like a complete idiot, being as loud as possible, ripping through the streets, high speed. It's all documented. And that is a completely different story. So it's not like they're just singling him out. Let's make an example out of him because we don't like him. The reason they don't like him is because how he was acting in the car. One other quick thing that I do want to mention, I just didn't want to gloss over this, and I may never understand it about people, but it is very true, is there is a dark side to social media. And what I mean by that is people tend to gravitate towards the negative or towards the stuff you don't see every day. If I put out a video and it has a very positive kind of light feel to it, people don't watch it. But if it's a video that's negative, I blew up my 170 engine, or I drove my 170 off a cliff and into a boat or whatever, people will watch the crap out of that. That's why when you watch the news, if it's, man shoots puppy out of cannon, people want to watch that all day, but man cures cancer, nobody cares. It is really, really weird. I do not understand why people are like that. But once again, you have a situation where you have somebody out there, they're basically out there acting completely irresponsibly, giving the car community a really bad look, but he grows huge. And you've got a massive social media following just because he's out there acting like this. And I just don't get it about people. it is part of what works on social media, but it is really sad.
Dude, why don't you go to Pacific Raceways?
I don't race. I do this. I do this on social media.
I know, but you know how much more popular it would be if you were doing it on a track?
I mean, I got almost 700,000 followers.
What's that?
I mean, I got almost 700,000 followers.
700,000 what?
Almost 700,000 followers. Maybe more popular.
Yeah?
Yeah. What you mean, yeah, bro?
I'm just saying, like...
I'm not no disrespect, but I feel like
No,
I'm doing my thing.
I know, you're doing your thing.
I turned it into a career, and the cars paid for themselves. 650.
I got you, dude. But
Yeah,
doing it legit and not on the street is going to be safer. Like, remember when we talked last time? Do you remember? Last time you got pulled over in Seattle.
I want to summarize my thoughts on all of this with just a couple of key points. First off, this is really bad for the car community. This is not a good look whatsoever. This situation has gotten national attention. When you're on Inside Edition and you're getting millions of views because you're out there terrorizing an entire city and just making a mockery out of the police and all that kind of stuff, this is an awful look for the car community out there. And keep in mind, like 98% of us out there are able to enjoy our cars responsibly. And we've got a young guy, he's 20 years old. Yes, he was able to grow his social media platform acting like that, but really to his detriment, because now he's got a situation that could potentially affect him for the foreseeable future. And I'm told that he no longer even has this car. Now, I don't know if that was a decision that his family came to. Look, let's just get rid of it. Let's sell it and let's move on, deal with whatever legal trouble we have. And that's it. Or the car actually, maybe it got impounded because of the situation until they're able to resolve all of this. I can't say. I actually reached out to Miles on Instagram and never got a response. I don't know if he knows me or the channel, but I tried to get some factual information from him as well to kind of just make sure I had my story straight. But if I don't get a response, I don't get a response. But it really is. It's just such a bad look, and I hate that. I really hope it's not a situation where he has to follow through with paying $86,000 in fines, because I think most people would agree that that is excessive and just ridiculous. So hopefully they were able to meet in the middle somewhere. It is a little perplexing to me that once he realized that many people were complaining and that the police were actually out looking for him and they were asking people to take videos with their phones so that they can use it against him in court, all that kind of stuff, why not just lay low and chill out? Why keep trying to push? Why keep poking the bear, so to speak, until it just got out of hand? That is a part I don't really understand, because it's really not that hard if you get into a little bit of hot water to just kind of lay low, be cool, and then just come back to it later, or just quit doing that in general, which is the ideal situation. And that brings me to my last point, and please forgive me, but I'm going to vent just a little bit because I really do feel pretty passionate about this. But just because you spent a fair amount of money on a car, and mind you, it's all relative, right? I mean, some people go out and buy Bugattis and don't bat an eye, and then other people go out and buy RTs and it's a ton of money for them. But just because you feel like you spent a lot of money on a car doesn't give you the right to go out and act like a complete idiot and inconvenience other people because you think it's fun. Nothing gives you the right to go out and treat people like that, okay? It's all about respect. And if you can't respect other people on the road, other people where they're living, like I said, people have kids, you have grandparents, you've got all sorts of people out there all going through different things. And if you can't be respectful of those people around you, then you don't deserve to have a high horsepower car. That's the way I look at it. Okay, if you have this mentality like, well, I paid so much money for this, I'm gonna do whatever I want. Nobody's gonna tell me what to do. If they don't like it, that's their problem. No, that means you are a selfish idiot, is what that means. Okay, guys? And I'm not singling anybody out individually, but this is a pretty prominent thing, especially with a lot of the younger generational people. As I mentioned, I'm not calling anybody out specifically, but that seems to be a pretty prominent theme. And it really bothers me. Okay, and I don't know what else to say about it, but just be respectful of everybody around you. Okay, it's not that hard. I know a lot of people weren't raised that way, but you still have to take all the other people around you into account. And just because you think it's fun or you think it's funny or you don't care how they feel, okay, that's not okay. That's what I'm trying to say is, it's not that hard to just take a minute and put yourself in somebody else's shoes and think about how it would make them feel. And that's all I'm asking people to do. Anyway, guys, that's all I'm going to say about it. Sad situation, not a good look at all. Let me know what you guys think. Am I way off base with the way I feel about this? Hit me up in the comments and I'll catch you on the next one. So until then, RacerX.
Any comments you want to make, sir?
No comments.
21-year-old Miles Hudson, possibly too stunned to speak. Moments before walking out of this door, he got hit with a fine equaling the 2022 average annual salary in Washington.
The court is awarding the city in the amount of $83,619.97.
Please don't record me. I don't give you permission. Do not record me.
Rebecca Hudson asking for privacy in a public space. While for months, her son has continued to run amok at all hours of the morning in Seattle. In fact, Rebecca Hudson is actually one of the registered owners of the Belltown Hellcat. In a letter to the city months ago, she claimed her son no longer had the car. But according to Miles Hudson's own social media account, that does not seem to be true.
Any more questions?
Despite saying he wouldn't comment seconds earlier, Hudson decided to talk about the $83,000 he now owes the city.
You're not going to come up with the $83,000.
I'm going to come up with it. It's a little bit emotional. I wouldn't say come up, but who's to say I don't have it?
Now, despite the judge's stern tone and that high dollar amount in fines, today's court hearing was more for show. That's because the city cannot garnish Hudson's wages because he doesn't have an official job, and they can't really seize his car because his mom co-owns it. But Hudson still has some criminal cases he's facing, including 2 reckless driving charges, as well as an investigation into cyber harassment.